In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your tailgate handle with the bezel, tailgate rods, cables, latches, and the bushings. We're basically refreshing this whole tailgate so it can open and close very smoothly. So let's install these brand new TRQ parts. Now your truck will most likely have a cover here, and that's going to have to be removed, especially since we have to remove these two bolts. For me, the cover is actually missing most of its hardware, so it's going to just have to be taken off. But two 13mm bolts right here. Let's remove both of them. Now remove this piece. Now with that cover removed, let's remove the last 13mm bolt holding on this tailgate handle and bezel assembly. Hold it just in case it wants to fall. It shouldn't because the bezel is clipped in, but just in case. There we go. Now with a trim tool from the outside, let's remove this tailgate bezel. Stick your trim tool underneath. Try to pop the bezel out. It has a clip here and one on each side. They can be fairly tough to remove. There we go. Swing it up like that. There's the tailgate bezel. Now we have to disconnect the rods from the handle. Take a pick or whatever else you have. Pop this down, just like that. Pull the rod out of the handle and do the same to this side over here. Okay, with that out, there's your handle. Of course, if you accidentally latch your tailgate, you could just pull on these two cables inward on both of them and that'll unlatch it. Because I have to do bushings as well, the tailgate has to come off, and it would be easiest for me if I just remove the cables with the tailgate and the latches and everything, pull it off, put it on the bench, replace everything I have to replace, and then put it all back together, as opposed to trying to balance one side at a time, doing one side at a time. So having said that, you can do it whichever way you want, but for me, I will pull off the entire tailgate at this point. Put some slack on the cable by lifting up on the tailgate and grab this little clip and unclip the cable off of both sides. Okay. Now you're going to want to pull the tailgate up and out of the right-hand side hinge. If you have a helper, that would be best because the tailgate is wide. Pull it right off. I'm going to start with replacing the bushing, which is just this plastic piece. There's one on each end. I'll show you how to do one side. Both sides are exactly the same process. You can do this multiple ways. You can either just stick a screwdriver down here, try to pry it off, but most likely the clips that are on the back side will prevent you from doing that. The clips look like this, so what I'm going to do is just stick a screwdriver straight down here and break them off. With those broken off, it's not really held on with anything other than just the rust that has built up in here. So pry it away. There you have it. At this point, you can either use a wire wheel, wire brush, whatever you have, or some sandpaper, and clean up this rust a little bit. And we're going to coat it with an anti-corrosive coating. You can use grease or whatever else you have. Doesn't have to look perfect, but I like to get some of this out of here to make sure that I do as good of a job as I can to remove the rust so it doesn't continue. Okay, that's pretty good. Blow this off or rinse it with some brake parts cleaner. Just try not to get it all over your paint. It's not really good for it, so I'm going to put a rag around here. That way it can absorb it. This should also dry off fairly quickly. I'm going to take some grease and just lightly coat this area. If you wanted to do it right, you would sand it, repaint it and everything. But for what this truck is doing, grease will be perfect, and I can just re-grease it every once in a while. Now, take this bushing, line it up, and tap it in very gently. You want to make sure you don't break it, obviously. It is plastic. Make sure it's fully seated, and do the same to the other side, to the other bushing. The only difference is going to be that one is completely enclosed. It doesn't have this cutout, so it's basically the same, just looks different. Take a 13mm socket, remove both of these bolts that hold the latch assembly onto the tailgate. They also hold the cable as well as the rod that's inside there. Okay, Take this all apart. Here's the rod, the latch assembly. I'm not going to take any of this apart because we're installing new hardware, new everything. So this is going to be taken out as an assembly, and I'll show you how to assemble the new one so that it looks like this. We'll put it in as an assembly. Let's get the rod into the new latch. This one might be a little tricky because it is a snug fit. I did put a little bit of grease on the end of this rod here so it could hopefully slide in. If that doesn't work very easily, you could grab a socket and the rod like that and the latch. Use the socket as basically a little cup down there. Tap this down. And now clip that rod in to the white retainer to lock it in. Wipe the debris off of this area, and we can send it right through the tailgate till the latch gets bolted up here. I'm going to put one bolt in on this side, but this is the one that goes through the cable. You'll see it has a shoulder on it. That's where the tailgate cable will sit, just like that, and then through. So before I tighten it completely, I'm going to start my other one. This one is just a regular flat bolt with a washer. If you're using the new provided hardware, it should already have thread locker on it, so no need to worry about that. Start this one as well. At this point, this is all ready to go, so let's snug both of these up. Hold the cable on this one so it doesn't get caught. And do the same exact thing to the other side. Let's replace the bolts where the tailgate cables attach, 13mm headed bolts, and the nuts on the other side of this panel that hold these on are welded onto this, so you don't need to pull the taillight or hold anything. Just put your socket on here and take these off. There it is. Take the new one, start it in here. Now, of course, you don't have to do this, but the kit comes with new ones, so you might as well. Make sure they're snug, and repeat the process on the other side. Now, with the help of your helper, put the tailgate back on. I'm going to lock it into the driver's side first. I'm going to put the cable on just so it can stay secured. Now, grab the passenger side and slide it in to the tailgate hinge here. Now let's get the tailgate handle in. Doesn't matter which rod you connect first. Okay, that one's hooked on. Let's lock it in. Make sure that the locking tab is flipped up and over. Now, of course, let's do the same to this other one. There we go. Lock this in as well. I'm going to put in one bolt for this tailgate handle now so that it can be mostly secured. The way I'm going to center it up is I'm going to put in the other ones. I know I will have to take them out because that plastic cover gets bolted on with these two, but with this like that, it'll make it so that it's all lined up and I can tighten this one. Now I can remove these, finish up everything, and at the end put these on without worrying that these two won't be lined up. Take the tailgate handle bezel. There are 3 clips that it has to line up with, and then there's another clip right down the middle. This actually holds on to your center lower bolt here on the tailgate handle, so if you don't have that in yet, it's not going to have anything to connect to, but I do, so it's actually just going to slide over. You can see these tabs are bent in, so it's going to grab it right away and lock in. Center it up before you press it on. If you tap it without these lined up, it's probably going to break those tabs. If your truck has this cover, put it back on. Try to line it up with these bolt holes right there. And this is exactly why I wanted to put that 3rd bolt in first, or I guess that would be the first one in this case, and have these lined up. Otherwise, I'd have to mess around with it right now and try to line everything up. But because it's already ready to go, I can just put these in and snug them up. There we go. I unfortunately did not have any other retainers for this plastic piece, so I don't have anything to put back. But if yours was held down with a bunch of hardware like it should be, put all that hardware back.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.